Welcome back, it's Chit-Chat with Florida Jack. Been a little while, yes it has. That's probably cause my best inspiration for this channel comes from alcohol. My wife been holding back the reins on the alcohol lately. Talk to you today about small business. Before we do, let me just let you know my background work. That way it'll make sense. I worked for about 7-8 years in construction with Watkins and a couple jobs with Foster Wheeler. Boiler work, digester work, precipitator work, film company work, about anything you can imagine. Before that, in high school, like a lot of the rest of the people in my town, I built crab traps. One summer I built swimming pools. I loaded bale of hay on a trailer to put in the barn. Watermelon over in Mayo, whatever I could do to make a dollar. Worked as a mason's helper one time for Mr. Wigglesworth, another historic Taylor County person. His family still laying block. So I tell you all that to tell you that in the aftermath, I come back to Perry and I've worked for 2 private business owners. Let's skip on over. How many times you heard the phrase, keep your business logo shot with small businesses? You ever stop to think about what that means? Look up on Google. Main Street Organization. Don't put Perry after it, just Main Street Organization. You'll find out it's propaganda. See, it started in the late 80s, but more specifically in the early to mid 90s. We started marketing in schools. Buy local, shop local, small business. You ever stop to think about that? I mean, ask yourself, really, have you? You ever stop to think about that? Ask any small business. What do you do that the others don't do? With exception of the cracker company and the chip company out there, with exception of them. They're not trucking help in from somewhere else. I mean, most of the people I see up in Walmart are local people. I don't think they're having that light bill Bluetooth in either. I think they're probably paying a local light bill. They might be cutting some taxes, but hell, I've seen a couple of the small businesses I work for, they do the same shit, you know what I'm saying? Can't blame them for that when you see the money going to a bunch of worthless people. So what makes them different? I mean, I've worked for 2. The first one I worked for, Marshall Hicks. I don't know, maybe he was a different breed. If he told you something, you could count on it. If you had a problem, you could go to him, you could work it out, you could count on it. He'd look out for your best interest, not just his. I don't know. In my mind, I'm trying to figure out the difference because I'm looking and I'm seeing the difference. Let me explain it to you a little bit. But before we ever get started, let me say this. Ain't nothing wrong with a businessman having a little more money than the average Joe and enjoying it because he invested it and created a business. Period. Let's just say that right up front. Secondly, when you see those people who are business owners who talk about how tough it is to be in business and trying to get their employees 10 and 15 cent raises, other than the times when they say there ain't no money there. And as an employee, when you see them buying high-dollar vehicles for them and their youngins and side-by-sides and 4x4s, and their justification in not giving you a raise is, you should figure out how to budget your money. When they're paying most of you minimum wage and preaching a small business can hardly make it. So, that's just something to think about. It's easy to preach small business, but in reality, the other businesses are employing local business people, local workers, paying a local bill. Now, if you can find a guy who's building something at his house and you need, that's okay, regardless of the reason. You're putting money 100% right here in a local person's business. Where do you think the stuff's coming to these local little stores right here? You think they buying that shit across town? No, they buying that from a large retail merchandiser that's coming from China, Mexico, Taiwan, Japan. Just figure it out. I mean, it don't take common sense. And when you're out there working, there's nothing wrong. A businessman should have more money than the average person. He's putting up his money and tying up his stuff and his time. A lot of work you don't see, but When you sit there and nickel and dime your people, and then you talk about you building a golf course in your yard, and you just told these bitches you can't give them no more money because you ain't barely paying them a minimum wage, or you buying all this stupid shit, or your youngest buying a $60,000 fucking truck, but there ain't no money for a raise. So when you start that small business shit, look it up, people, for yourself. It's propaganda. It was a business thing. It's propaganda. Shop small business. They started it in school. I shop wherever I can get the best deal for my money. Now, before we get into how stupid they think you are, let me step over here and get one of these Michelobs from this convenient tree limb holder. I'm telling you, I really love that. I think every single beer, it should be a federal law. That should be attached to it. That way you can hang it on stuff around you. You rednecks know what I mean. There are two types of people, in my opinion, that own businesses. There are businessmen who are looking to make a name for themselves, make a dollar, and look after their customers and the people around them. Most of them's gone. That's the old time. And then there's money people. They good at making money. They ain't worth a shit at business. Now, my first boss man, when I come off the road and come home and settle down, he was a businessman. Second private business owner I worked for describes the second phase, the money man. He's all about making a figure for return for his money, and he don't give a shit, even though he'll present that to the people about the employees and the people on him. All he's about is reaching that figure, whatever that takes, and they justify it whatever they can. That was the second type of private business owner I worked for. And you'll never convince them of that. In their mind, they're justifying it. That's what it is. But in the backdrop, what they're looking at is a figure, a dollar figure. That's all they give a shit about. And you're never going to reach them. That's the ones that's going to stand there and tell you, there ain't no money for raises, but they spend the money on stupid shit. So, you know, it's those tend to be narcissists. Those tend to be self-absorbed people. You can't reach them. You're best off to find you another job. So I'm telling you all that to tell you, spend your money where it's valued, not on the small business gimmick. That's a business gimmick that was pushed around the country. Look it up. Main Street America, Incorporated, and different ones. These businesses and companies and cities bought into it. Don't pay that shit no mind. Look it up, read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And don't by no means think that it's a coincidence. These business owners, they know that. They know what they're doing. Don't think they don't. Let me give you an example. The business that I work for has just recently sold. They come in and didn't have a meeting on individuals with people. They had a company meeting. Now this is going to show you the mentality that they expect. They know what's going on. All these companies do. And this is a company of individual people, but it's also a backdrop to individuals here because they're a small business. They know what they're dealing with. They have got used to the fact that most of these people in this small town are a lot of women who have deadbeat old men who won't pay stuff, and they've got a job and it's the best job they can get. A lot of them don't have high school diplomas and GEDs. No judgment, I'm just telling you what they're seeing. They get complacent in these jobs and they say what they won't do and what they will do, and you've seen it at jobs, and in the end they do just what they want. That's the reality to it. You know, you don't get a lot of people who are like I am who think, you know, I got other skills, I do what I want, I go on somewhere else. Let's back up though. This particular company come in and they had a meeting with all the employees. Now pay attention here, this is important. The very first thing they said proves back to they think you're stupid. In all small businesses, not all, most. They study this. This small business thing is a gimmick. That's the whole point of this video. Nothing's going to change. Now, in this particular case, everything they outlined after that changed. Lower 401ks in this company. Higher deductibles in your insurance. Higher copay, but we're going to strip you on in there with a little less to pay out your check every week. My whole point there is these companies know what they got. They know what's there and they take advantage of that. And you can't blame them for that. The problem is you. When you quit working for these businesses, they'll figure something out. You hear local businesses talk about oh, we can't get no help. Well, I've seen that before, but what I see now is through most of this, they done got used to having that availability of help. We'll just pass them on through, that they don't give a damn. So a lot of the problem is now these businesses, piss poor management. Believe me, I see it. Not just in many businesses. So you want to change in them small towns and them small businesses, quit working for them. Make them have to work their own damn stores. You'll see a difference. Go on down there and get you a job somewhere else. There's other jobs out there. Get that shit out of your mind that this is what I can do. Start hunting on the side. You see a job you want, you ain't got the skills, get the skills. You are your only holdback. And they know that. That's what they thrive on. Don't take me wrong, I ain't anti-business. But it's time for some business people to be coming off some money in these small towns. When you're sitting there pissing and moaning, but yet you come back and show these vivid videos of all this shit you do and all this shit you bought. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's time to come on up off that minimum wage. You want some decent employees, they here. You just got to reach out there and retract them. That was strange for me because my first private employer, Marshall Hicks, he was good to me. Wasn't no problem with money. I mean, hell, it was like I was over here drinking from the fountain as youth. As long as I was producing and showing and growing the business, the money was there. Most of them ain't that way. So if you're making less than you should make, it's your fault. Go on to the damn house, hunt you another job on the side while you working and get you a different job. Let them run their own bullshit. Get out of that independent business shit in your mind and get into, where do I get what I want for my money? Don't buy into that bullshit. Take your money where you get the best value for your money. I try to spend my money in local businesses. I do. I go down there to Ace Hardware, to different places. I try my best. But I don't spend my money there based on the fact that I'm trying to support local business. Period. Because I know what's going on in a lot of local businesses. But when I can go down there to the plumbing place on 27 or over at the Ace or over at the Cashway or a different place to spend my money, I do. But I don't base that off of keeping my money in a small business. I don't watch too many small businesses while they stand there and milk their employees for minimum wage. I'm not a minimum wage advocate of getting it way up there. You should live within your means. But I'm a realist. We ain't fucking blind. So, I don't know though. That was just some shit I was thinking about on the way home today. I'd stopped down there at the Springs and damn park attendant was gone. I'm used to seeing them there and I don't know. It just got me thinking about that. But anyhow, hey, I appreciate y'all joining me. Y'all have a good weekend and I'll see you on the next one.